Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to another PALOV market research video. Today, we've got a serious topic on our hands because of what happened yesterday. Iran bombed Israel. Big bummer, big bummer. Before I get into the meat in this video, I want to say one thing. The markets crashed yesterday, right? So that's why we're talking about this. I don't really want to talk about it, but I feel obligated to because there's a few messages here and there's actually a few equities that we can start to track that I'll be talking about at the end of the video also. But I want to make it very clear, I am neutral on this issue of who is right, who is wrong, because I simply don't have enough information, okay? Not because I'm not a side picker. I find that pretty frustrating when people don't pick sides, okay? So I just don't have enough information. The only side I am on, however, is I don't want any country bombing any other place ever. No bombing, no dying. That is my strong preference 100% of the time. Now, Israel invaded Lebanon. Why did Israel invade Lebanon? Because Hezbollah, the terrorist group, is what it's being referred to it as, in Gaza has started, attacking Israel, right? And Hezbollah gets intelligence and resources from their leaders who are located in Beirut, a tiny amount of people. So Israel then felt entitled to start bombing Beirut. Beirut has millions of people in it, okay? But there's a few tiny amount of people there who they're trying to get to, all right? And because of that attack on Lebanon, Iran started to attack Israel yesterday, right? They fired 181 missiles at them. And, the prime minister is stating it's a big mistake and they will pay for it. The bombs killed one Palestinian, unfortunately, prayers to them, and two Israelis got hurt. So it wasn't, I would describe that as a successful attack. I don't even know as the idea of a bombing being successful is disturbing. Biden told allies that Netanyahu doesn't want to end the fighting in Lebanon. That's also important to state here, and that is a picture of Beirut there. Now, let's just visualize this for a second because a lot of people are confused. This is Israel. Israel is bombing the Gaza Strip and Beirut. Why? Because Beirut, leaders of Hezbollah, are sending resources, intelligence to the Gaza Strip, and then Gaza is using those resources and intelligence to attack Israel. Understood? Then because Israel went from just bombing Gaza to now bombing Beirut and Lebanese people as well, Iran now feels entitled to bomb Israel. Okay? A lot of families are now refugees in Lebanon who have nothing to do with this conflict, and the death toll is rising. I'm not using numbers here because I don't know who to believe and who to trust, honestly. Okay, so the U.S.'s involvement. Let's get into that. The U.S. says it helped Israel shoot down Iranian missiles yesterday, so we're involved yesterday. The U.S. Army is upgrading an Israeli base to make room for more jets. That's just what they tell us about. More investment in Israel. Okay. America isn't ready for another war because it doesn't have the troops. So we have a recruiting crisis because, believe it or not, guys, Gen Z isn't joining the U.S. military. I know. Shocking. Also, the U.S. military has become so incompetent that they can't even deliver uniforms on time. And this is actually something I've seen firsthand. Here in Puerto Rico, I have a clothing business. That clothing business hires cut and sew manufacturers here on this island. The cut and sew manufacturers make the majority of their money from making uniforms for the US Air Force, for the US Army, all these people. And the incompetence of those military organizations for just simply doing the logistics, sending them the materials on time, yada yada, is very shocking. So yes, the U.S. military does not have enough troops. They're stating that. That's very obvious. They also do not have the competence to make their uniforms on time. Sweatshirts. Now, what I'm about to show you is important to show you, just so you have this in your mind as a possibility, not as a reality. Understood? I'm sharing something that people think about, not that a lot of people believe is the case. What am I saying? These are real pictures, but they're not official positions of the Israeli government. What does that mean? Well, What I'm about to show you are patches, patches that are on the Israeli military's garments, okay? These patches could mean nothing, right? Because Navy SEALs, Green Berets, Special Forces, are known to do a similar thing where they put patches on their uniforms, and it could mean nothing, right? And when they do that, I should say, it doesn't necessarily represent the values, the goals, intentions, or anything associated with what the U.S. military believes or thinks. Okay. So with that said, when you look at these images, this is a Hebrew text that states the promised land of Israel, and you see this little blobby blob blob thing. The blobby blob blob thing represents something called Greater Israel, which is this map here. So this is an area that some people, obviously in the Israeli military, think would be a good thing for Israel to have and to become, I should say. And this map here is the current constitution of Israel. This is what is currently included. Okay. Now, but again, these are real pictures, but these are not official positions of the Israel government, the Israel military, any of that. Okay. So don't take this out of context, please. Now, let's get into something that's very important for us as a community to think about. In my opinion, there are two non-negotiables. When we are at risk of war, we need to pick a candidate we feel is less likely to send our brothers and sisters to die, because that's all that a war is. It's just a time for young people to fight other young people they don't know, for old people who do know each other. And through an institution like the government, who has a monopoly on violence and using young Americans, young people in their own country, to send them abroad to die, to kill other people too. So when we're at risk of war, okay, we want to pick the candidate who is less likely to continue war and is, interested in profiting off of war in any context. And then the second point, when our First Amendment rights are at risk, we need to pick the candidate we feel is less likely to undermine that constitutional right, the constitutional right of the First Amendment, which is our freedom of speech. If we're at war and we are pulled into a World War III conflict, or if we are losing our First Amendment right to speak freely on any given subject we wish to, then we have no position to think about any other issue. Any other issue matters. No other issue matters. Healthcare doesn't matter. National debt doesn't matter. Climate change doesn't matter. Immigration doesn't matter. Education doesn't matter. And nothing else matters if one or these two things has happened. I think this is like the most obvious thing ever. I hope you all agree. And if you're one of those people who are like, oh, what about hate speech, all these things? Let me ask you a question. If you are pro-guns, do you believe that ammunition should be illegal? Because being pro-democracy and anti-free speech in being an absolutist in a free speech context kind of means that you believe that guns should be legal, but ammunition should be illegal. Okay, it's actually a very strong analogy there. So don't be that guy. Believe in democracy or don't. If you don't believe in democracy, then you're allowed to not believe in the First Amendment. The First Amendment is the First Amendment for a reason. If you are claiming to be smarter than our founding fathers, go away. Stocks to watch. Like I promised at the beginning of the video, I take a screenshot of these, but I will read the bottom of this slide. These are not investment recommendations or investment advice in any context. I am sharing these so you can self-educate on price action during moments like this, aka moments of war. Because these are stocks that actually, it's a combination of stocks that other publications put out upon the news of this conflict. Some that people sent me, some that I found on my own. But these are interesting things and educational things to watch, to add to your watch list to track, as their price action could be more volatile than they would otherwise be if we weren't in a conflict like this. Now, I hope that this was useful to you. I didn't want to go too deep and get too lost in the sauce on this, okay? But that is my video. I hope it is helpful. If it is helpful, please consider sharing these ideas, especially this individual slide, with your friends and family. Get their opinion on it. Spread the word, because I understand we have a lot of differences. We don't like certain people, you know, but at the end of the day, who disagrees with me on this? Give me that argument. Let's hear it. If you do agree with this, give this video a thumbs up, share it around, encourage others to think a similar way, because I think that there are certain things that we can all get behind, right? I think that not anyone on the left or right wants to be at war, right? Because again, my only position here is that people stop getting bombed, bro. Right? Okay. See you guys.